Well, let's go around the table, bro. Like, what's a keeper? Because like we got some infamous guys that do hunts and breed. And I mean, I know I watch your story closely, bro. Anything you post, you don't post a ton, but when you do post, I love seeing what you're up to. Same thing with this guy. This guy provided genetics for one of my homies up in Washington. They murked it, crushed it, all went to wash, whole field, you know, and like you see your stuff on a massive scale. And then you got these guys where you're seeing fields and the amount of seeds and genetics you're crossing is just unbelievable. Like, what's a keeper, bro?
I pop seeds to grow for my own brand. So it's, you know, trying to find things that I like. But I think like recently I was telling you about this the other day, you know, we had a little batch of seeds that we did and we were kind of smoking them all, and like everyone's trying to say something about it, you know, and it's like, oh, well, it's kind of like this. It's like, we're not trying to talk about medium shit here. You know, it's like when you smoke it and you immediately recognize that there's something provocative or special about it, there really isn't like, shouldn't be like looking for it, you know, because there's a lot of plants we already have that do that. And there's a lot of plants we already have that don't do that. So it's like, we're not trying to add more medium tier players to the team, you know, and, you know, you could have a lot of reasons or criteria that you're looking for when you're trying to find a keeper. But at least for me at this point, it should smell crazy, taste crazy. What exactly those smells and tastes are, I'm open to things being different. I think that that's really fun. But I mean, there really shouldn't have to be looking for it. You know, it should either be, it's pretty binary, I guess. It should
be abundant,
it's
right?
either
like
one or it's not, you know? And it's kind of like how I grade restaurants nowadays. It's would come back, would recommend, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, there's no 5-star, 4-star, 3-star. It's like, would I tell someone to come here? Am I going to come back here and spend money on it again? That's what good looks like. You know, it's pretty yes or no, you know? And like when you're smoking through a bunch of phenos and you're like, oh, well, that one's kind of this. It's like, is it banging? If it's banging, let's put it in this pile. If it's not, it's going over here. And then, you know, when you're grading it like that, this pile's really small and this one's really big. You know, you end up just tossing.
When growers have a tendency to be like, yeah, but look how beautiful she is, and she's an easy grow. And look at the crystal content.
Yeah. We don't care about that.
She got a great nose, but you got to squeeze her. Squeeze it more. Squeeze it. Break the nug up. And, you know, like you start to give her, no more 8s. Even 9s. 9s are the ones that it's hard sometimes. And I just go to like, no, then go back, because a lot of pretty weed out there gets put in front of us. And it's always like, well, go back to cookies and cream or something. Yeah. At least that one was smoking. If you want something that's just pretty, like where it's just frosted out and you just want to be wowed, right? Go back to something that does have substance with it, with that, versus so many phenos of stuff that we get put in front. It's like, I don't know if there is a smell. It smells like plant.
Right? It looks incredible when you look at it, and it's tough.
Well, it can't be that.
Yeah, and I think that there's like, it's what I call a confirmation bias, where it's like you spent money on seeds, you spent resources and time on growing those seeds and people working on it or however it went down. You feel entitled to get something from that. You know, you paid, you did, therefore you should get. And I think if you're looking for something to be special and provocative, like you can't assume that you get to have anything because you showed up and you did what you were supposed to do. You know, that's just not really how it is, you know? And I think that's why there's a lot of medium weed out there and a lot of medium selections, because it costs tons of money to do it, you know? And
spend $400 on a seed pack.
Yeah, you might have to throw that away, you know? And you have to be very willing to just throw it all away, you know?
You and I were talking about that last night, right? Like the discipline of like, we're popping 500 seeds and we'll kill everything if it's not.
I'm ready to burn them all. Right? Yeah.
And that's a big step up, I think, right there, when you can get to that point.
Sometimes you go home without your toy, without your prize, your trophy.
You have to just keep doing it, you know, and that
gets you
most of the time, really. Like if you're being rigorous,
don't hurt people's feelings, bro.
But that's also why I think you got to just keep doing it, you know, because it does take a long time from like popping a seed to actually like evaluating flower. And so I think you have to be disciplined to just keep it going. So it's like, it's happening all the time and you don't really put so much weight on like, oh man, this really needs to go good for me, you know? really blew my budget on this one. You know, I really need to get something from that.
10 on this.
Yeah,
I need a 10.
Yeah.
But like John, you're walking through a field, right? And they're running all your stuff and they're, everything's going. Obviously, we're not talking about autos, because there is no keeper really, I'm guessing.
They're all keepers. What do you mean?
Yeah. But like, what are you looking for in a keeper?
My buddy Jared has, he's from YLD, right? It's like a new hash bag company. We've been growing and making hash together for a long time in Colorado. We'll go through hundreds of phenos, right? But we have a pretty rigorous kind of way of selecting phenos for breeding. I have a lot, like you said, there'll be dudes with, maybe 500,000 seeds or 5 million seeds or whatever. And I have to be super conscious for that guy to make sure his year goes well. Like you guys were saying, a guy spends $400 on a pack and throws it in a tent. That financial responsibility that comes with that is make or break, right? A dude that buys 5 million seeds and throws them on a bunch of acres, like he's going to kill me if they don't go well, right?
Damn near really, for real.
Yeah.
Just so
100%.
You bet the farm on it.
I try to be as conscious of that as possible because I'm a big farmer too. We grow 100 acres, almost every year too. So, which is cool for them because we actually do this, right? So it'll be like, look, man, here's the photos from last year from this batch, right? And so it takes a little pressure off, I think, for them. But
and I'm sure you could also be like, here's people that have gotten the weed. Here's so that they can. It's not just hearing it from a salesperson who's trying to sell them something. It's hearing it from people you've done business with or seeing results from people you've done business with.
And so I guess on top of that, we'll put kind of a wide spectrum as far as grams per square foot of bio. Obviously fresh frozen numbers to melt, how much loss you take from melt to rosin, all that shit, right? And then what I like to do is I have my tastes, he has his tastes, and typically we're on the same page, right? But sometimes we're not, right? And it's hard to spec the market like that, like we were talking about earlier. What does the market want versus what do we want, right? And so we just try to give away as many dabs as possible, but under the caveat that's like, listen, bro, we don't like to label them, right? And it's like, here's a little questionnaire, you know what I mean? And have people that we respect as far as a palate, right? And get as much notes as possible. And so we'll take all that data at the end and, very little, 1 out of 1,000 times, every box will be checked, right? And so that's a 10 out of 10. That's a keeper. And we'll throw that in a room to receive pollen from something else that we've done the same process with as far as like a pollen donor, right? And so we don't like to throw shit in there. Like if I needed 10 strains and I only really had 8 bangers and we threw 2 mids ones in there, we'll just use 8. And so people will be like, I'll shoot a list of 20 strains or something. And they're like, what are your favorites? I know there's like 3 or 4 of like the best ones. And it's like, bro, I think it comes down to terpene profile preference on that regard, because we didn't use anything that yielded less than 5% or did a couple hundred, grams per plant. And, and so that as far as like keepers for us, that's what we're trying to do, at least to have the big farmers in mind.